Every disaster has a beginning, and surprisingly, it usually is an explosion. It isn't a fire. It isn't a collapse. It starts much earlier. A warning that wasn't taken seriously. A shortcut that seemed harmless. A meeting where somebody said, "It'll probably be okay." Today's disasters happen in different countries, involve different industries, and affected thousands of lives. But when investigators look back, they kept finding something disturbing. Many of these tragedies didn't happen because nobody knew the danger. They happened because somebody did. In this video, we're looking at 10 disasters that experts believe could have been prevented, and the leadership lessons we should never forget. Imagine arriving for work, looking up, and seeing huge cracks running through the building you're about to enter. That's exactly what happened in Bangladesh on April 24th, 2013. The day before, engineers inspected Rana Plaza after workers discovered alarming structural cracks. Banks and many businesses inside the building closed immediately, but several garment factories reportedly instructed thousands of employees to return to work the next morning. At around 8:57 a.m., the entire 8-story building collapsed. More than 1,100 people were killed. Thousands more were injured. It became one of the deadliest industrial disasters in modern history. The heartbreaking part? The danger had already been seen. Leadership lesson. Sometimes the people closest to the work recognize the biggest risks. Great leaders don't silence those voices. They stop and they listen. During the 1980s, hospitals in North America introduced a new radiation therapy machine called the Therac 25. It was modern, faster, and heavily controlled by software. But hidden programming errors, combined with inadequate safety safeguards, resulted in several patients receiving massive radiation overdoses. Some suffered severe injuries. Others died. Investigators concluded that too much confidence had been placed in software, while important hardware safety protections had been removed. Technology is powerful, but leadership means never assuming technology is perfect. It must always be tested, challenged, and verified. Imagine buying your dream home, only to discover years later that it was built on top of thousands of tons of toxic chemical waste. That's exactly what happened at Canal in New York. Families began reporting strange smells, contaminated water, and serious health concerns. Eventually, hundreds of families had to leave their homes. Canal became one of America's biggest environmental disasters. The lesson? Shortcuts don't disappear. Sometimes they simply wait until someone else pays the price. Some disasters begin with something surprisingly small. In this case, one engineering change. During construction of the Hyatt Regency Hotel in Kansas City, a modification was made to the design of the suspended walkways. That seemingly minor change doubled the load carried by a critical connection. On July 17, 1981, the walkways collapsed during a crowded event. 114 people were killed. Leadership lesson? Never approve technical changes you don't completely understand. Small decisions can create enormous consequences. Imagine walking into a nightclub built to hold only a few hundred people, only to discover later that far more people had been allowed inside. On the night of March 18, 1996, hundreds of young Filipinos packed Ozone disco in Quezon City for what was supposed to be an ordinary night out. Minutes later, a fire broke out near the entrance. Within seconds, thick black smoke filled the club. Panic spread. People rushed toward the exits, only to find that escape wasn't as simple as they expected. More than 160 people died, making it one of the deadliest nightclub fires in history. Investigations later uncovered chain of failures, not just one mistake. Reports cited overcrowding, building code violations, inadequate emergency exits, and serious deficiencies in fire safety and emergency preparedness. Legal proceedings also followed against parties connected to the club and aspects of its operation. The real tragedy is that none of these problems happened overnight. Every overcrowded night, every ignored inspection, every shortcut that wasn't corrected increased the risk. Leadership isn't tested when everything is going well. It's tested when doing the right thing is inconvenient. Because safety isn't measured by the nights when nothing happens. It's measured by the one night when everything does. On March 27, 1977, two Boeing 747s collided on the runway at Tenerife Airport. 583 people died. It remains the deadliest accident in aviation history. There wasn't a catastrophic mechanical failure. Instead, investigators found a chain of communication problems, assumptions, poor visibility, and cockpit authority issues. No single mistake caused a tragedy. Several small misunderstandings combined into one disaster. Leadership lesson? Communication isn't simply speaking. It's making sure people truly understand. Shortly after midnight on December 3, 1984, toxic gas escaped from a pesticide plant in Bhopal, India, while many residents slept. The gas spread across nearby neighborhoods. Thousands died within days. Many more suffered lifelong health problems. Investigations identified multiple contributing factors, including inadequate maintenance, disabled safety systems, and operational failures. One of the biggest myths in business is that safety is expensive. History keeps teaching us the opposite. Neglecting safety usually becomes far more expensive. Before Deepwater Horizon exploded, warning signs had already appeared. Technical concerns, pressure test anomalies, decisions that kept the project moving forward. In April 2010, the oil rig exploded. 11 workers lost their lives. Millions of barrels of oil spilled into the Gulf of Mexico. Investigators later described multiple warning signs that were missed or not acted upon. Great leaders don't ignore uncomfortable information. They encourage people to speak up before small risks become national disasters. Long before tragedy struck, residents of Aberfan had already expressed concerns about the massive coal waste tip overlooking their village. Then, after heavy rain in October 1966, the spoiled tip collapsed. It buried a school. 144 people died. 116 of them were children. This wasn't simply nature. It was a known risk that wasn't addressed. Leadership begins by listening, especially when people warn us about danger. The disaster that should never have happened. December 20th, 1987, 5 days before Christmas. Across the Philippines, thousands of families were traveling home. Parents carried Christmas presents. Children dreamed about seeing their grandparents. Students looked forward to spending the holidays with loved ones. For the passengers aboard MV Dona Paz, it was supposed to be just another overnight ferry trip. It became the deadliest peacetime maritime disaster in history. At around 10:30 that evening, MV Dona Paz collided with the oil tanker MT Vector in the Tubeless Strait. The tanker was carrying more than 1 million liters of gasoline and petroleum products. Within moments, the cargo ignited. The sea itself caught fire. Survivors later described jumping into the water, only to find themselves surrounded by burning fuel. Many passengers never even reached the deck. Official estimates placed the death toll at more than 4,300 people. Only 26 people survived, 24 from Dona Paz and 2 from Mount Vector. Think about that for a moment. Out of thousands of passengers, only 26 lived to tell the story. Investigations and subsequent inquiries pointed to multiple contributing factors, including concerns about overcrowding, deficiencies in safety enforcement, insufficient life-saving equipment, shortcomings in crew preparedness, and broader issues in maritime regulation and oversight. Reports also found that MT Vector was operating despite questions about its seaworthiness and certification, adding another layer to the chain of failures that preceded the collision. Here's the uncomfortable question. Was the collision the real disaster? Or was it simply the moment when years of ignored risks finally caught up with everyone? Because disasters like this rarely begin with impact, they begin long before departure. When regulations aren't enforced, when inspections become routine paperwork, when safety becomes a checklist instead of commitment. Leadership lesson? Safety isn't created during an emergency. It's created every single day by leaders who refuse to compromise. long before disaster strikes. The deadliest disasters are rarely caused by one mistake. They're usually the result of dozens of small failures that nobody stopped. Every disaster we've explored today happened in a different country, to different people, under different circumstances. But when investigators look back, they kept finding the same things: warnings that weren't taken seriously, risks that were accepted, problems that everyone hoped someone else would fix. The explosion, the collapse, the collision, they weren't the beginning. They were the ending of a long chain of decisions. History doesn't just remember disasters. It remembers the choices that allowed them to happen. We can't rewrite those stories, but we can learn from them. Because the next disaster may not be prevented by better technology or more money, but by one leader willing to make one better decision at exactly the right time. If you found this video helpful, I'd appreciate it if you could give a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us continue creating practical, straightforward learning content. And if you're looking for more free templates, articles, tools, and training resources, visit the TIV Learning Library. We've built it to help professionals, leaders, trainers, and organizations keep learning and improving. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.